how excited we are, but to share more about the Pink Berets, our presence, what it is that we're accomplishing right now, the way forward. Um, as of right now, we are positioning ourselves all over the United States. We have national chapters. These national chapters allow women to have the ability to participate and not just camaraderie, but being able to engage with other like-minded women, their sisters in arms, respectively, in their region, that can, come together and build on their community and also help build the communities around them. So as of right now, with the Pink Berets, we're looking at advocacy as a huge focus for us in the coming year in 2025. And we're building a strong advocacy team. This advocacy team will enable us to be able to bring more of the issues to the forefront, and not just bring them to the forefront, but talk about all the solutions that we bring to the table and highlighting what needs to be done. The women veteran community is still a very underserved community of women. And so we are still actively looking at what that change is going to look like for us. And it takes a number of us to come together and pull this focus and to acknowledge that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and not just in our communities, but also on the Hill in Washington, D.C. This really expands our ability to start talking about the things that need to change in order for those very things to change when it comes to women's health care, when it comes to their reproductive rights, when it comes to their benefits in terms of their claims that they're filing. I mean, you run a myriad of things that we could be focused on, but it's going to take more than just a village, right? And so that's why we've really focused on increasing our footprint across the United States and giving more women a voice and giving more women the opportunity to share what it is that they feel needs to change, because we know it's different for every state. What applies in Texas doesn't apply in Chicago, doesn't apply in Florida, doesn't apply in California. And so this allows us to extend our reach and find out what those issues are in a respective region. So I'm happy to be participating with America's Heroes Group, because I really do think that you all set the platform for us to be able to highlight not only the changes that are coming, but the changes that need to happen. I really want to highlight the significance of being able to have the platform for women to be able to learn more about what type of change is coming for them specifically, to know that the work that we're putting into place is not just the kind of work that is going to be a focus on one specific thing. There's a myriad of things that we need to focus on. One of those things is MST. MST is military sexual trauma, for those of you who are not familiar with it. And with military sexual trauma, there comes a tremendous amount of change, especially because of the landscape that's out there when it applies to MST. You still have some people that are not familiar with what it means. You have some people who are still not coming forward and discussing their incident with MST. You have people that are still afraid of the consequences of using their voice to highlight what the issues are behind military sexual trauma. So I feel within the Pink Berets, it gives us the ability to help these women find the way forward, and not just to talk about what it is that they've encountered or the traumatic event that they've had, but what can we do to improve the experience for them, especially if they're still serving. I know a number of women who are still actively serving in the United States Armed Forces who do not want to leave the military, but they do want the issue addressed of sexual harassment, anybody who's been sexually assaulted, fear of retribution. There's just a number of things that we have to turn our focus onto when it comes to military sexual trauma. If there's anything that I believe we have learned, and I mean over the course of years, it's that this does not discriminate when it comes to anybody, whether you're a woman, a man, non-binary, part of the LGBTQ community. MST does not discriminate, no more than PTSD discriminates. So doesn't discriminate. So we want to make sure that people who feel that they have the ability to speak to what it is that they're experiencing, that's going to help shape the narrative on the change that needs to take place. Now, I know when we look at the Department of Defense report, we look at either a decrease or a decrease in those statistics. But please know what still doesn't apply is the people who have not come forward and talked about the experience that they're having. This is the one thing that we need to really turn our focus onto is those who have not come forward, those who are still needing support. And this platform is really going to give us the ability to do that. It's going to give us the ability to highlight the issues that are still taking place out there. So if we think about for a moment, you have someone that comes forward and they share their experience. They're looking for answers. They're looking for somebody to help guide them on what the next steps are. Nobody wants to stay stagnant in what it is that has resulted in them feeling like they're ostracized or somebody feeling like they can't get the help necessary, especially when you're serving. When you're serving, you take an oath and you take an oath to protect our country. And so, in return, we want to ensure that that is being reciprocated, that the people that are feeling like they're not getting the necessary support or the necessary help, especially when they've encountered a traumatic event, we want to make sure that we're helping them on that journey, that we're helping them on that next phase of help. Because this is where we end up taking a look at numbers when it applies to suicidal ideations or people determining that they can't move forward in life because they haven't been given a way out. They haven't been given the support or the help that they need to understand how they're going to get through this traumatic experience. We've learned about this time and time again. And so, what I feel this will bring to the table is allowing us to really capture those stories, move those stories forward, help people embrace the fact that they've been part of a bad experience, but we're wanting to help them shape this experience into something different, meaning not allowing what's transpired to shape them. But we also want to bring the stories of resilience to the forefront. Too many times we tend to focus on the negative outcomes of people's experiences. But I think it's also very important to highlight the positive change that is taking place. The people who are building businesses, the people who are building organizations like the Pink Berets. You have people out there who are wanting to be part of that change. They're wanting to have a purpose. And so what we want to do is highlight what that purpose looks like. What is somebody planning on implementing when it comes to change? I can tell you we hear numerous stories throughout the US. We have women that are starting businesses, women that are looking to grow in entrepreneurship, women who are wanting to give back to their community in a different way. And it could be because of the result of a bad experience, but they're turning that into something good. And the way that they do that is by being able to get out into their community, be involved, whether it's start a business and they can give back or focus on a business that focuses on helping people. You know, we all become these stewards of change. We become the servant leaders, and the task is tall, meaning that when we enter a space where we're focused on helping other individuals, when we're helping to guide people and be of service to others, it's not an overnight thing. We have to really put a lot of ourselves into this to ensure that the people that we're helping are getting the necessary help. Because then what happens is those people are going to feel like somebody showed up for them, somebody cared, somebody really wanted to understand what it was that they went through and help them to the next step. That in turn turns into somebody else wanting to do the same thing. So the act of paying it forward. And that's really the message that we want to bring here as well, is we want people to feel like they have a platform where they can talk about the changes that they're making. What community are you helping build? And what can we do to help you foster that change in your community? You know, we have a lot of issues right now with food insecurities. That is just one issue that we want to highlight. And a number of issues that are out there. But we talk about food insecurities, especially as it applies to our veteran community. We see it everywhere. We have veterans who are needing help just to support their family. And that comes down to the groceries. I had somebody tell me the other day what used to cost us, you know, $25 is now costing us $75, and it's made nearly impossible for them to be able to put food on the table. Those are the kind of issues that we're looking at. Those are the kind of issues we need to be talking about. Those are the kind of issues that we need to bring forward so that people understand the gravity of the situation, especially as it applies to our veteran community. We can't say that we're looking for ways to help and then we fall short of helping. So I think that if you find that you're learning of a new issue presented on the show, find ways to be involved. Find ways that you will implement change, especially as it applies to an issue that resonates with you. Homeless women veteran issues is another thing that I like to highlight because I was once there, and I want people to know it gets better. You don't have to stay in a place where you don't have a home, or you're not working, or you don't have any food on the table, or you're unable to find daycare for your children. There's ways that we can help, and there's a number of resources out there. And I think that this platform is going to give us the ability to share those resources in real time. And I'm talking about having the ability to tell you this is where you can go if you have services that you're seeking for legal advice. That's not an easy resource to locate, but the resources are out there, and we want to be able to share those resources. So again, highlighting what resonates with our community: homelessness in the veteran community, food insecurities in our veteran community, um, in our veteran community. There's, again, a number of things that we want to bring forward, because if we bring these issues forward and we highlight them and we talk about them in real time, that's where we will see change. And that's where we will see people coming together, wanting to talk about what this looks like. Now, having this opportunity to bring a show to you on Wednesday evenings doesn't mean that it's just myself presenting these topics and speaking to the topics. We want to bring professionals in different areas, experts in different arenas, people that have shared experiences that they want to bring to you and tell you how they got through it, but also give people the guidelines for the way forward. So if you're somebody who's struggling to get to the next step in your entrepreneurship journey, we want to bring people to the table that can talk to you about what it took for them to get in the next phase of their entrepreneurship journey. Too many times we sit in our thoughts and we don't allow ourselves to understand that it's going to take more than just one person to help you gain traction in that next step in the chapter of your life, is what I like to say. What is that next chapter? Who is writing that next chapter? You are. And if you're writing that next chapter, you're going to need some people along the way to help you. And I want you to know that there are people out there ready and willing to give you the very information that you're seeking. It might be that you're looking for somebody to guide you in maybe starting a podcast. You never know what that looks like. But what I can tell you is that in the veteran community, you have people who are prepared to share what that looks like. And they're prepared to tell you what your next step should look like. And I think that that's what's going to be a really engaging but wonderful opportunity to see what those next steps look like. And it's bringing the right people to the table, but it's also bringing the things that are taking place in your very community. What's happening? What is it that is happening in every corner of the US? What can we talk about that's happening in New York? What can we talk about that's happening in California or Wyoming or South Carolina? I mean, we have access to so many individuals who really want to share their story, and not for themselves, but to help you gain an understanding of what change looks like. And I hope that you'll follow us, knowing that you're going to walk away with a newfound understanding of what it can take for you to take those next steps, but also to know that there's people out there who are providing resources that are readily available to you. We work with a number of organizations out there who are focused on different areas of veterans' needs. So, one thing I can tell you that we have had to focus on, gosh, it seems like more often than none this year is transitioning veterans who are transitioning out of the military, or veterans who are transitioning in their careers, or homeless veterans who are transitioning into a new home. We have found that you have veterans that have taken that leap of faith and have been moved into a home, but then you find that they don't have a table to sit at. They don't have a bed to sleep on. They don't have the ability to understand what it is that they're going to utilize the next day when it comes to showering. There's just the bare necessities that we tend to take for granted are the very things that our veteran community could use. And we have found that um, to be one of the main factors that impedes progress. Having the ability to garner these things that might be everyday things to you and I, that are not everyday things to them. So, necessities, things for their home, utensils, plates, pots and pans. We had one particular veteran share with us that she was getting a number of people stepping forward to support her, and it was a beautiful thing to witness how the community came together to help bring her furniture, to help bring her toys for her children, clothing for her children. I mean, you could go on the way that the community came together to help this individual. But what I can tell you is some of the things that we would not have thought of were the very things that they needed, right? So she needed towels for her bathroom, a shower curtain. She needed rugs for the floor, toothbrushes, toothpaste. I could go down the line on the list of things that needed to take place in order for this person to feel like they were moving in the right direction. It's one thing to have a roof over your head, but if you don't have a blanket to cover yourself with, or if you don't have a bed to sleep on, it kind of puts you back to a place where you feel like you're not there yet. And so it's very important for us to be able to share these resources in the community and talk about how these resources are going to impact a life. You look at Vet Strong in San Antonio, Texas, and Vet Strong has the ability to bring people furniture items that they may not have when they're moving into a new place. And for us, it allows us to help these veterans in need get these furniture pieces for their home, and then take the step forward and start getting the pieces that are necessary to pull them together. So that is just one example, but I'm telling you, it's an example for many. It's not just one person that we've encountered this with. We've encountered this with many people. And to think that something as simple as putting sheets on a bed or towels in a bathroom or plates on a table, those things are very important. And so I know I'm really focused on this specific area, but I can tell you it's because we have seen it happen more times than none this year, and we're seeing an increase in this need. You have mothers that are getting ready to um, have their babies, and they don't yet have a crib, or they don't yet have all the tools necessary to be able to help them with their child. And I can tell you that it's while it's sad to witness, it's even better to know that there's people that are showing up to help them. But take those things into account. Having a platform like this to be able to vocalize what's really happening at ground zero allows you to also learn what it is that you can do to help your respective community. So if you know of somebody that is needing support, or if a local woman's shelter that may need support, take those things into account. They do count on things to help them build their life once again. It takes a lot to rebuild a life, but it takes a lot for somebody to come forward and ask for help. And so when someone comes forward and asks for help, I think it's very important for us to be readily available to put in the effort to help the people that come and ask for that necessary help, especially when it applies to everyday life tools. The everyday life tools that we've become accustomed to utilizing may be some that people didn't know were in existence. So I can tell you with the Pink Berets, the change that we're making with the team that we have in place has been profound. But it's profound because people believe in the mission, people believe in being servant leaders, People believe in giving back to their community. And they also believe that change doesn't happen unless we come together and we make it happen. And so, what I implore you to do is to continue being part of the show, to continue to be involved in learning what it is that we're going to be bringing to you week after week, month after month, and bringing you to the very places that we're going to visit. You know, we have a very extensive lineup of places that will be all over the US for the rest of this year. And we want to bring you there. We want to bring you there to witness what it's like to engage with other communities, but also what it's going to take to build and foster these relationships that will help us build these communities. Because aside from the veteran community, it's going to take bringing in people that have businesses that can partner with us to help us build these platforms, to help us build our communities, to help us provide these resources. And that doesn't happen without engagement. It doesn't happen without partnerships. And it certainly doesn't happen without people establishing the belief system that what it is that we're trying to accomplish is to leave behind a legacy that will allow other people to continue building their lives. Because when we build a community, we build so much more. And we're talking about families, we're talking about businesses. We have the ability to help
Welcome to
others
AHG Connects, where
thrive. And that's
voices,
why we do what we
information,
do. And that's why
and
we're
resources
focused on
are
bringing these
empowered
stories to
and
you in real
intentional.
time and letting you know what the next step is, and better yet, what you can do to come forward and help, what you can do to come forward and implement that change.